Thank you, Marka. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Fiona Libbach. I am the communications manager for Tradewind. Some of you may or may not know that Tradewind is an umbrella. It's a suite of tools and services. It's a program in the office of the Chief Digital Artificial Intelligence Office, CDAO, which sits in DoD. And Tradewind is an overall program that has a lot of different offerings. It's a suite of tools and services that are designed to accelerate the procurement and adoption of AI, ML, digital, and data analytics solutions across the Department of Defense. Tradewind Solutions Marketplace is in many ways Tradewind's flagship offering, but we do have a lot of other offerings and will be that have been out there for quite a while, but we want to make sure that all of you are aware of those offerings and that you're all utilizing them to your best abilities. So we will be rolling out a lot of communications about that over the next couple of weeks. So look forward to that. We have a really good program for you today. We're going to be giving you an overview of the Solutions Marketplace, sort of like a 101 class. There's no test, we promise, but thank you all for taking time out of your afternoons to be with us and to learn a little bit more about the marketplace and how it can help you achieve your business goals. Okay, so a couple of housekeeping items. First, I just want to thank ATARC, our friends over at ATARC, for helping us put these events on for you guys. The other thing is we do have a Q&A bar. I know some of you posed questions when you were registering, and we'll address some of those. But as we go through the program, you should probably, you should see a Q&A panel in your interface on Zoom, and feel free to drop questions in there. We'll be responding to them as we move through the slide deck. And I will kick it over now to Rosa Johnson. Rosa is our Director of Contracts at ARI. ARI is the company that actually helped stand up the marketplace for CDAO. And she knows all the ins and outs about how to work with the marketplace. And we're gonna actually do a little walkthrough for you towards the end of the program as well. We'll show you how to get into the marketplace and make sure that you're okay logging in. So without further ado, I'll kick it over to Rosa, and I'll be chiming in throughout the program. Take it away, Rosa.
Hello, thank you. Like Fiona said, thank you for coming to the webinar. So my name is Rosa Johnson. I'm the Director of Contracts for ARI. I'll just give you a little bit of my background before I, got to ARI. I've been in the acquisitions career field for about 13 years now. Spent 10 of those as a content officer for the Air Force. Okay, so I'm going to start with what is the Tradewind Solutions Marketplace. Basically, the Tradewind Solutions Marketplace is one of the suite of services that falls under the Tradewind umbrella. And we like to discuss the Solution Marketplace because it's one of the new services that we provide. We, as ARI, we're the marketplace manager for the marketplace, and we work with CDAO on the government side. So it's a centralized, video repository for AI, ML, basically any digital or data analytics solutions. It's just really honestly one of the best ways for industry, academic partners, mom and pop, traditional, non-traditional small business to really get their solution out there to DoD, to the government. It's a great way, for you to get no more than a 5-minute video out there to talk about your solution. You can do multiple videos if you have multiple solutions. We request one video per solution, but if your company has multiple digital solutions, put them all on there. This is just a great way to get out there. It's a very simple process. You can do it on, your iPhone or, a camera or anything like that. And if you read the announcement, you know that the marketplace satisfies competition requirements for the FAR, for DFARs, and also for OTAs. And I definitely like to stress this because competition obviously is a big thing for DoD contracting. Just in my experience, it's amazing to have something that already satisfies these competition requirements, because a lot of times when you work with contracting offices, that's a big thing, right? We need to make sure that we are satisfying that. So if you put your solution out there and the DoD sees your solution and they want to buy it, they already have passed that. They already know, okay, I can just get it because it already satisfies these requirements. Okay, next slide. Okay, so I spoke a little bit about this at the previous slide, but the value proposition for the marketplace is it obviously gets rid of the long procurement lead times. And I really like this slide because coming from the background I have with the Air Force, I'm very familiar with long lead times. If you've had a FAR contract, you're aware of it too. Sometimes it could take 6 months or even longer to get an award. And, that can be a huge barrier to entry for companies. The amount of time, the money it could take to do the proposal, to get everything together. And then sometimes after you submit the proposal, you may not hear anything back if you didn't move forward, or you may not get adequate feedback. So that's something that the Solutions Marketplace provides. We're able to increase that speed to contract timeline. We reduce the barrier to entry, like I mentioned before, no more than a 5-minute video. It doesn't have to be a huge production quality. You can just use your iPhone. And you also get adequate feedback. It's very transparent. You're able to speak to the assessment team that looked at your feedback and looked at your video, and we'll discuss that in another slide. But, there's just a lot of value in the marketplace that just from my side, I know sometimes the DoD doesn't have. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, and Fiona, jump in if you want to add anything. Okay, so how do we upload a video to the marketplace? So basically, once you create that video using whatever you want to, the camera or the phone, like I mentioned, once you upload it into the marketplace, then there's a couple processes, right? So ARI, we do a quick review just to make sure that it followed what's in the announcement. Like I mentioned, one of them before is making sure that your video is under 5 minutes. So I want to stress right here, make sure you read that announcement. It's very important that you read the announcement and read the rubric, because a lot of times when companies submit a video, there's a couple of things that they missed by not reading the announcement. So just make sure that you do that. Once that you upload that video and we do a compliance check just to make sure that it falls within that, then your video is assessed by a peer panel, which is government, academia, and industry, which, I think is also really important, right? Because a lot of times we see that using the term source selection, I'm switching to the far side, that's just done by government, obviously. And I think it's great to have the perspective also from academia and industry, especially in this environment where we are looking at solutions, technical solutions, digital solutions. We want to see a perspective from academia and industry. So that's great. Your feedback will be provided throughout the process. Like we mentioned, you'll see comments on your video from your assessment team. They'll put comments on there. You're able to look at them throughout the process and, do a revision of your video and upload that video again while the assessment, so that you can still be in that assessment window, which is every 30 days. If accepted, your video will be entered into the marketplace as awardable, and you'll be able to move forward. And if not, as I mentioned before, we will have feedback that will be provided to you. Next slide.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time navigating all these buttons. Yeah, I just wanted to tap on to something Rosa said. So one thing that I think really there is no such framework in the DoD right now, but the thing that I think that makes us so unique is beyond everything else, we really do make a point of communicating with vendors throughout the process, right? A lot of times in traditional acquisition, traditional government contracting, you have these big RFPs they put out. You have to put together these massive proposals, these massive white papers. Number one, a lot of companies, particularly smaller companies, don't necessarily have the personnel, the resources, the bandwidth to do that. That's a very expensive process to go out and capture federal contracting business. So we really want to remove that barrier. So the solutions marketplace does a huge value right there on its face. But beyond that, you may invest these resources that you barely have, right? And then you don't hear anything. It goes into this black hole. You don't know where it stands. You're sort of lost in this vortex. So one thing that I think one of the bigger value propositions of the marketplace is that we really do communicate with you throughout the process. Now, keep in mind, the marketplace is one of the biggest benefits of the marketplace is that we really do shrink that time on the front end, that time that it takes for you to get assessed, figure out if government likes your solution. Are you gonna, how far are you going in this process? The Tradewind Solutions Marketplace truncates all of that entire front process, and we say that we're really harping on that point because we found that we see some great solutions, but the video goes beyond 5 minutes and we can't assess it. We really do have to stick to that. When we first started, we were able to be a little bit lenient with that, but now that we have so much traction, we're getting so many submissions, we don't have the bandwidth to be lenient with that anymore. We really do have to stick to the 5 minutes. So again, 5 minutes, we don't want to see anyone knocked out for something that simple. So keep your video within 5 minutes. Once you submit that, you go through an assessment process. Like Rosa said, all of the entire assessment process is in compliance with all federal regulations. So so that whole front end process of figuring out whether the government likes you or likes your technology enough, you'll get there. Once you're assessed, you're in the marketplace, and then at that point, it's a matter of making sure that you're doing your part to let government customers know, hey, we're in the marketplace. If you want to buy us, we're in the marketplace. Sometimes we've seen cases where actually, we had someone talk to us at a recent event that we did, a live event, where they had a government customer, who was really interested in their solution, but the government customer told the company, hey, with our contracting process, we might not be able to get you guys on board. We might not be able to purchase your solution for another 2 years. And, the poor guy's like, hey, I want to sell my solution now, right? So I said, well, hey, listen, get a video up, submit it into the marketplace, let's get you awardable, and then you could call your customer and say, hey, I'm in the marketplace, just go in there, like all the competition's done, just go in there and purchase. So that's where the value comes in. So I guess my point is, as opposed to a traditional acquisition framework, the kind that we've been doing in federal government for ages, where you spend all this time and money submitting this massive proposal, you spend all these resources getting your proposal in, and then you never hear anything. That's not going to happen here. The moment you submit, you get an email, thank you for submitting. The moment you move into assessment, hey, you're in assessment. Hey, you have some feedback. Hey, you've been deemed awardable. Or, hey, you've not been deemed awardable. Here's why. We'd love to see you submit. We want to get you to an awardable status. We will let you know where you are in the process at any given moment. And I think that that's a huge value. And it's different, right? Like no one's used to that kind of thing. So that's why we're super excited about the marketplace. I will kick it back to you, Rosa, if you have anything else to add on that.
Not on this slide. No, I think you covered it.
Okay, moving on. Let me see, are there any questions? Okay, we had one question come in. I answered that. Okay, and so there are a number of you on. Make sure we get to it. So Rosa, I'll kick it back to you. I think we've talked a lot about the benefits, but I don't know if you want to expand on any of it.
Hey, sorry, Fiona, you cut out for me. I'm not sure what the last thing you said, but the internet went out.
Oh, am I back?
Yes, on my side, it says your bandwidth is low, but what was the last thing you said?
I was saying that we're moving on to the next slide. We've covered a number of these points, but there's probably some stuff on here you want to add some insight into, so I'll kick it back to you.
Okay, great. Okay, so on this slide, I know that we talked about value proposition on the last slide, and Fiona was great in her explanation. So I'll just hit on a couple of the topics here. So one of the bullets, it says multiple eligibility and contract pathways. So I think that's great, right? Because we talked about before that it meets different competition requirements for FAR, DFARs and OTA and things like that, which means that it can have different contract pathways. It also means it can be different type of contracts, whether that is, whether you want to go to an OTA for a specific reason, and let me say your contracting office wants an OTA, or, they want a FAR contract. The solution marketplace provides that ability to be flexible. And I think that's really important, because even in the OTA environment, I've had PMs, come and ask me, well, I don't want an OTA, I want to do this way. So, and I think that's great. This allows for them to choose, this is what works best for the customer or for their office. So that's one of the great values that we can provide. And we mentioned before that the assessment timeline is really, really fast tracked. You get your notifications within 30 days. Each block is 30 days. And the assessors, that we've worked with, they're great at providing that feedback. Whether you're moving forward or you're not moving forward, you'll get feedback either way on how to, improve your submission or things that you did great, which can be moved towards another video that you may want to make. And feedback, I think, is huge. Fiona touched on this as well, but I really, really think that's a huge point, because just from experience, it just doesn't happen like that all the time. And also the terms are fully negotiable, right? So whether it's, an OTA agreement, it's a FAR contract, no matter what it is, you're able to negotiate along the way, negotiate your IP terms, data rights, all of that. And that's a huge value proposition, not just to the government, but also that's a huge value add to companies as well. And it's a potential for multiple awards with a single customer. The customer may decide, hey, I want to award 3 awards and things like that. There's no funding ceilings. I mean, it's just so many great things that you can do with the Solutions Marketplace. So I definitely would say, if you don't have a video in there, you definitely need to get one in there soon, because I've worked with the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, pretty much every branch you could think of. And this is one of the best things on the market right now for technology solutions. Okay, next slide, unless you want to add something, Fiona. All right, so, I see you pop up. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to address, I went to the next slide before I wanted to address this question that came in. Someone was asking about, how do we know who saw our video? So the way the marketplace is designed, we're not, okay, so there are kind of 2 ends of the marketplace, right? There's the front end that you guys will see, like just for industry, academia, individual innovators, small companies, big companies. If you have a solution, if you're a solutions provider, you will see one interface on the marketplace. If you're a government customer, you'll see a completely different marketplace. So we don't track metrics from one to the other. So in other words, like, we're not going to be able to tell you, hey, 14 people viewed your video today. Like, we don't have that level of tracking. However, rest assured, when a government customer goes in on their end and they say, you know what, I really, really need something that's going to help me solve this particular problem. I really need something that's going to help me store data, right? And they can go in and search. There's a couple different search options for them on the government side. There's a search tool. They also can search by keywords. There's a number of different ways they can find you. The other thing I will say is that once you become awardable in the marketplace and you kind of have like your house in the marketplace, like your space that you own in the marketplace, you will get a link. It'll be a unique link that you can share with government customers, potential government customers, and that will take them directly to your video in the marketplace. And we think that that's a feature that we added, and we think that's a really useful tool, because once you're in there, you're awardable, right? So now you want to let the world know, you want to let everyone know, hey, you can find me here, click on this thing, you can see my solution there. So it helps, we're helping you to market yourself to potential customers, in addition to just, by virtue of just being on the marketplace. So that's an important thing. If anyone has any other questions about how a government customer can find you in the actual marketplace, just drop it in the chat. But that is one question that came in that I wanted to address, and I will kick it back to you, Rosa, and we'll talk about focus areas.
Thanks, Fiona. So these are the technology focus areas that you also find in the announcement. We do have a few focus areas, and for the most part, if you're reading them, you can see that they're pretty broad. So you can definitely put in, different solutions that will fall under the strategic focus areas, whether it's assuring, cybersecurity or streamlining the business process, discovering blue sky technology. But there's definitely a focus area that, as long as it falls under the, AI, ML, digital data solutions, capability, you can definitely put in a solution for one of these focus areas. Fiona, is there anything you want to add about that?
There is, of course. I always have something to add. But that's why we make a good team, Rosa. One thing I wanted to touch on here, two things actually. So you see improving situational awareness, increasing safety, implementing predictive maintenance, streamline businesses, assuring cybersecurity. Now, if your solution does not fall neatly into any one of these categories, just throw it right into blue sky technology. Blue sky is sort of this catch-all. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. That's why I want to cover it. Blue sky is sort of this catch-all thing where if it doesn't neatly fall into any one of those other top categories, that's okay. Put it into blue sky. It's just sort of like it's a technology, and we're not sure where to put it, so we're going to call it blue sky. Blue sky is also more specifically, it's basically very forward-leaning solution. So a lot of the solutions that are in the other categories, you may be responding to a need that the DoD has because the DoD has stated it. The government has said, hey, we have a problem in X, Y, and Z area. And so you have a solution that neatly responds to it and can neatly fall into any one of these categories. If you and the smart people at your company, if you kind of are looking down the road and say, and can see, hey, wait a minute, there's this particular problem that I see coming down the road that the government may not be aware of. They may not be tracking this thing, but we have a solution for that. That will go under blue sky as well. So you're basically saying, hey, DoD, hey, government, you may not know that this is a problem, but we have a solution for you because at some point this is going to become a problem and we've got an answer for you. So that's where all the forward-leaning stuff that doesn't fall into the other category, that's where you could put blue sky. That's where you could put it into the blue sky. The other thing I would say is one thing about the videos, and I was going to touch on this later, but I'll just mention it now. What we've seen is some companies say, oh, well, we have a video about our company. And so they take it out, they dust it off, and they submit it. That's not necessarily a video solution. If you have a marketing video about your company, that's great, but that's not going to get you awarded, right? We're not, and this is an important point, we're not looking for marketing videos about your company. We're looking to see what solutions you have that can answer a problem that the government is seeing right now, or that the government may see later down the road. Think of this as more of like a product video versus a company video. In your product video solution video, we want to know a couple, you can say a couple words about your company, but you're not really marketing your company necessarily. It's more about the solution that you're providing. It's more about the problem that you're trying to solve. So think of it like that. We've actually we've had to reject some videos that were just straight up like marketing videos, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for solutions. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I think that was all I had on here. Rosa, back to you.
Oh my goodness. If y'all can't tell, Fiona and I, we love working together. But I definitely like what she just said, because it's true, right? You really in these videos, you need to focus on what problem you're solving. And let's be honest, the government has plenty of them. So you should be able to easily, in your video, hey, this is a problem area that I see, and this is how my solution is going to solve it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so top 5 things to know about when you submit a video in the Solutions Marketplace. So in a lot of this, we've kind of talked about earlier, but submissions are accepted on a rolling basis. So they're submitted anywhere between the first and the last day of the month. You have that that month period, 30, 31 days, 28, depending on the month. And then within that next week or two is when the assessors will assess all the videos and start providing the feedback. And then for number two, if you didn't get your video in the last day of the month, a new submission window will open up the very next day. So for example, we have a new submission window that opens up on 1 June for anyone who did not get those last videos in within that last week or so. And once the submission window closes, assessments begin immediately, which is what I said. So between that first and second week, that's when those assessors are going to get in there and start looking at your video, start providing, the feedback. Either way, whether you're getting in or whether you're not, they're going to continue to provide feedback to help you make sure that you are awardable and that the DoD customers are seeing a great video. So, you want to submit only one video per solution. If you have multiple solutions, obviously submit as many videos as you can, but just one video per solution. But there's no limit on how many videos you can submit. I know that companies are already starting to submit multiple videos, because if you have multiple solutions, you want the DoD to be able to see them and buy as many as they can. I know I've heard some people in the past, I'm pretty sure it was Fiona, that said, in some ways you could think of it like Amazon, right? So a company, they have multiple things that they're selling, you put them all out there, right? So as a company, do that. You want to be able to put as many solutions as you have in the marketplace so that you can reach multiple organizations. Fiona, is there anything you want to add?
That's a rhetorical question at this point, Rosa. Of course.
Oh my goodness. We're never going to end this webinar with Fiona.
I have to say this. And this probably is more related to the previous slide, and I'll tell you why. When we talk about the solutions marketplace, we really do tag it as we're looking for AI, ML, digital, and data analytics. However, I will say, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag because it's not even that big of a secret, but the reality is that it's somewhat turning into a marketplace for all types of advanced technologies. So, and that's a really important point. And maybe then that kind of overlaps with the blue sky technology category as well. If you have some sort of advanced technology that isn't exactly AI or ML or digital, that's okay. Drop it in there. It's really become a place where, like, I have this cool widget, I have this cool tech thing, and let me just put it out there and see if I can become awardable. And hey, maybe there's someone in the government who wants this, or hey, I kind of know someone in the government who wants this. Let me get onto the marketplace. So don't be in any way turned off by, the AI, ML, digital, and data broad spectrum, because there's a lot of high technology, advanced technology things that we're seeing in the marketplace, and we want them there. So that was what I wanted to add. Oh, Rosa, someone just asked, it's a great question, Wade, thank you for posing that. Do we have the option to change the video after initial upload, thinking about a product improvement of a particular solution? Yeah, so I don't want to speak out of my lane, but Rosa can probably talk about this, but I do know that we have had people submit a video and then submit a revision to it because something, got improved or upgraded with their particular solution. Rosa, I'll kick it back to you for this.
Okay, thank you, Fiona. Apologize about that. I had to find the buttons. Okay, so just to answer that question really quickly, yes, you can upload or you can upload a new video, but I will say make sure that when you upload a new video that you delete the old one, because right now you can't go in and make changes in the video, but you can if you see, oh man, I made a mistake, I didn't add something, just upload a new video and delete that one, because if not, and we have had this happen, assessors will assess both videos, and now they're providing feedback on both, and it can be really confusing. So just make sure that you delete the old one and you're good to go. I see another question in here. Okay, no, they've both been answered. Okay, so Fiona, next slide. Okay, so I'm just going to give a couple of tips on getting your video accepted into the marketplace. Not to sound like a broken record, read the announcement. I know, with my contracting background, I can say that till I'm blue in the face, no matter what side I'm on, but make sure that you read the announcement. It's very, very important. Please do not upload a video and you have not read the announcement. There is a rubric in there that will help you know how your video is going to be assessed. It also talks in there about what we've talked about the competition requirements, because a lot of times I will get questions about things that are in the announcement. So please read. If you read the announcement and you still have questions, obviously, reach out, because education is a huge piece of the Tradewind Solutions Marketplace, not just for the vendors, but also for the government, because this is a whole new way of doing business, right? So education is huge. Fiona, as our Director of Communications, she's great at educating everyone. This is one of the reasons why we have this webinar. But please read the announcement and then have questions. So the link is right there. Make sure that you get that link, you send it to everyone, in your company, so that they can read the announcement and be prepared. Also too, you don't want to waste your time, right? You don't want to submit a solution video and you get a comment from an assessor saying, hey, you don't have this, you don't have that. So it just helps everybody to be efficient. Read the announcement. Okay, so follow the yellow rubric road. I kind of mentioned that already. Adhere to the rubric. It's in Appendix B of the announcement. Now, I will say that sometimes you will see revisions of the announcement that will come out. So it's important to make sure that before you submit a video for that particular assessment window, that you just go back and check and make sure that there haven't been changes, because we're always going to have iterations of this, right? That's one of the great things about this. This is brand new. So if you give us some feedback, you may see your feedback put to use in a new announcement, which we think is great, whether it's feedback from industry, academia, the government, we want that feedback. So you may see that, or we may just utilize lessons learned. And I know in the acquisition, the contract pathway process, a lot of times you don't see that. I don't know how many times I've heard a contractor basically yell into the void about something we could have done to make it easier on everybody, not just one side. But in the solutions marketplace, we will take those lessons learned throughout this process and make changes. So just make sure that you read the announcement, you adhere to the rubric. And when it comes to putting in your videos, utilize all of the educational sources that we have provided. There are how-to videos on the Solutions Marketplace website. There are facts that you can read from, questions that we've received. When we first started this, we put out an announcement and we asked for questions. For those of you that were in the beginning, you remember this, but we asked for questions from industry, from everybody. We asked them to read the announcement and tell us, hey, if this doesn't make sense, tell us why it doesn't make sense, or give us some tips. And let me tell you, we got a lot because I had to read everyone and I responded to every single one. So make sure that you read those facts, because that may help you also know different things about the solutions marketplace. Also, follow us on LinkedIn, Tradewind. Like I mentioned before, Fiona, the Director of Communications, she works really, really hard on educating everybody. And she does a great job about, getting things out there, utilizing social media. So follow us so you can stay up to date with the changes that are happening. You can see, you'll see different things about Tradewind on that LinkedIn. So make sure you follow us. If you don't have a LinkedIn, I'm not sure what you're doing, get a LinkedIn and follow us on Tradewind. Okay, so also follow guidance in the helpful how-to videos. I've watched them all. They're really, really great. It will make it super, super easy for you. And like I mentioned before, if you have any questions about the announcement after you read it, huge foot stop on after you read it, please send questions to support@tradewindmarketplace.com. Or if you have any questions, period, after you've watched the how-to videos, read the facts, or if you have suggestions, maybe you get involved, you read it, you follow us, you put up a few videos, you become awardable, whatever the case may be, any step in the process, you want to send questions, comments, concerns, utilize that inbox. We're only trying to get better for everyone involved. Fiona, I'm not even going to ask because I know you got something to say, so go ahead.
You know I do, girl. Okay. Well, first of all, Rosa, thank you for all the plugs. I'm feeling the love today. I'm getting a big head. I appreciate that. A couple of things. One, yes, I will foot stomp on this as well. Please, please, please read the announcement. We've had people who have submitted videos and never even read the announcement. So they actually just ended up wasting their time and hours, quite frankly. So read the announcement. We literally break it down Barney style. We tell you absolutely everything you need to know. And we put you in the best possible position to be successful in the marketplace. The rubric. This is how I like to refer to the rubric. The rubric is basically the answers to the test. That's it. Like, if you want to pass the test, read the rubric, because we're telling you exactly what we're grading you on. Like, that's where we like break down all the criteria, how you're going to be evaluated, the different categories, how much each category is worth. I mean, we really go into crazy detail. We partner with Valid Eval on the rubric and on the assessments, and they've been great about really helping us help you to be successful. So read the announcement, read the rubric. The other thing I would say is two other things. The marketplace is a relatively new framework for DoD. This is a brand new thing, right? So there's a huge education portion, and that's why we do these webinars. We've been out there, pounding the pavement about how great the marketplace is. We do these webinars, we put together all these resources. We really want to make sure you all, A, understand what this is, B, know how to use it, and C, we want to see you all be successful. At the same time that we're doing this for you guys, we're also doing it on the government side, because there are two sides to this equation, right? So what I would say is we would love for you to help us with that message as well, right? If you have a government customer that you want to sell to, and you're like, hey, I'm in the marketplace, just go buy me, and they don't know about the marketplace, send them our way. We've got plenty of resources to help them. We will, help walk them through how to engage with the marketplace and how they can help us help you. In other words, like, if you point us to a customer that wants to purchase your solution, you're in the marketplace, they just don't know what to do, how to do it, how to create an account, send them our way. We are more than happy to help them. We want to see these success stories. I think that's all I had on this. What I will say is we have about 15-20 minutes left. What I'd like to do at this point, before we move on, we're going to tell you the number one reason why videos don't get put into the marketplace. Because you didn't follow the announcement. And we've mentioned this. There's a lot in there. I mean, for some, I hope most of you read it. It's 15 pages, so it's a little bit of a read, but all the information is in there. There's one of the bigger reasons why people don't get in is because they didn't stick to the 5-minute or under time limit on the video, and that's in the announcement, right? And there are other things that get them knocked out of consideration that we listed in the announcement. So as long as you're adhering to the announcement and you have a good solution, you'll be great. One of the tips that we give in our how-to videos, and if you haven't been on there, we'll show you how to get there. We have a lot of how-to videos with a lot of good information that'll help you be successful as well. One of the tips is, before you submit your video, play it back. Make sure that you're audible, that we can hear you clearly. So even on the technical side, we're helping you we're making sure that you're in a good position to become awardable. So I mean, we provided as many possible resources and helpful tools that we possibly could to help you guys be successful. So right now we're gonna get into TradewindAI.com. We're gonna show you how to get into the Tradewind Exchange, which is actually where the Solutions Marketplace physically lives. Hopefully you already have an account with the exchange. If you don't, we'll walk through that. And then you're gonna navigate to the marketplace, you submit your video, and then you stand by for feedback. So we can do that now. And Rosa, I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment while I navigate to where we have to go to. I don't know if there were any other thoughts. I don't know if there's anything else you want to put out while we're waiting to pull up the, and you know what I could do? I'll pull up the announcement as well, just to help people walk through that as well.
Nothing from me. Thanks, Fiona.
So many windows, so little time. Oh, just a quick note. for everyone, Rosa mentioned that we update the announcement regularly. We do, and just a wink, wink, just a slight tease. We do have a new announcement coming out at the end of the month, and it will be in effect June 1st, which means any solutions that are submitted on June 1 or forward will have to adhere to the new announcement. So I will pull that up right now, just so you guys can see that, and then we'll get into the actual marketplace. Share screen. So I hope that most of you have seen this. Let me know if you're seeing my screen. Rosa, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So this is the announcement. Hopefully most of you have seen this or have read it. The new version is 15 pages. Like I said, we break things down, we leave no stone unturned. I'll put it to you that way. And towards the end, I want to just direct your attention to the rubric, the famous rubric, the answers to the test. So, okay, so we didn't talk about TRLs, but every technology is going to have to be submitted under a certain TRL, technology readiness level. And one thing that we want to impress upon everyone, don't be afraid if you're like in an early stage technology readiness level. If you do have an early stage solution, your TRL 1 or 2, the only thing we ask is that you show to the government in your video, you just sort of lay out exactly what your plan is to get to a higher TRL level. I think the government just wants to see that you have a plan for that. And then here's the rubric, right? I mean, we tell you how much weight is given to each section of your 5-minute video. And because you only have 5 minutes, you have to be really strategic about how you use that time. Like I said, you just want to give a couple of sentences about your company. You don't want to spend 3.5 minutes talking about your company and then have to rush to answer all the technology questions about your solution. That's not a good way to spend your time. Just do like a quick intro about your company, maybe one sentence about who you specifically are or not, up to you, but get right into the technology and tell us all about that. The problem that you're solving, what value it is to DoD, the viability of your technology, the maturity, which is TRL, and all of that. So again, these are the answers to the test. So please read the announcement. New one will be posted June 1. And at this point, I'll stop sharing so that I can get over to tradewindai.com. One question that came in, somebody asked how many awards how many contracts have been awarded through the marketplace. So far we have one, I think. We're working on the second and third currently, but here's one thing that I want to sort of put out there. So the entire purpose of the marketplace is to create a platform where industry, innovators, and academic institutions can promote and market their solutions and be in an awardable status, right? So the entire purpose is really to kind of truncate that first part of that process, the down select process. We've done away with down select. So once you're in the marketplace, you're selected. You just have to sell your solution now. So that by virtue of that, in many ways, we are fulfilling the promise of the marketplace. The second step to that is, okay, the government getting in there, and which we're helping with that process because we do so much education, but it's really a matter of, letting the government know that you're here and getting that contract awarded. And a lot of that is going to involve the contract activities in different offices. So like I said, there's a huge education process here, but we've made a lot of traction, and to whatever extent you guys can help along that process, that would be super helpful as well, because that helps everybody. And yes, a copy of the slides will be sent out. Mark does a great job sending out all the slides. You guys will have all of this. Let me get to, oh my God, so many windows. I literally don't, oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Let me know when you see this. Rosa, you guys seeing this?
Yes.
Okay, great. So step one, if some of you haven't been on there, I would hope that you get on there, tradewindai.com. And once you're on here, so you'll see one thing right off the bat, Solutions Marketplace. This is sort of like your information station for Marketplace. This is not necessarily where you log into the Marketplace. This is just where you get all the information that we talked about. All the videos. This is where you'll see the announcement. You could download the announcement here. Obviously, the one you download today would be the current one, but on June 1, you'll see a new one on there. And then we have our FAQs. But to actually navigate to the Marketplace, you have to go into login or join us. And what we're referring to here is the Tradewind Exchange. Some of you may have an account with the Tradewind Exchange. Some of you may not. If you do, you go to login. If you don't, you go to join us. It's like a 3-second registration process. You just put in some really basic information about yourself and create a login, and that's your account. So we're going to log in with my account. And I will tell you, once you get in there, you will quickly see the Marketplace, and you will quickly get in there. Okay, so this is the Tradewind Exchange. And from here, you will not only get the Marketplace up here, right, on the upper right-hand side of the nav page, you will see Solutions Marketplace, and you just go to Access Now. But I will say that in addition to the Marketplace, there are a lot of other offerings and services here as well. So if you haven't been into the Tradewind Exchange, if you don't have an account, I would highly recommend you get one. And then you go to Access Now for the Marketplace. And there you are. Let's get started. My videos, right? Once you have your video, you literally just hit upload, or I think you could even click and drop it if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you just drag and drop. And you put in some really super basic information about your video, your focus area, right? A quick abstract, your TRL, your solution title. So, you know, we've really made it super simple. And then you just submit your video, and then we have automated emails now, so you'll get an automatic email. Thank you for submitting. And then again, as you move through the process, we'll let you know where you're at any given moment. So that is the Marketplace. That is how you get into it. I don't see any other questions coming in, but if anyone has questions, just drop them in the Q&A. Rosa, do you have anything you want to add here? Let me get back to.
No, I do not.
Okay, I'll go back to ai.com. There it is. Okay. Okay, great. Let me just make sure we've answered all the questions that came in. Copy of the slides. Yeah, okay, so we've answered all the questions, and I see a couple more coming in. Someone said thank you. Someone's asking how many solutions are currently in the Marketplace. Ooh, that's a great question. We've had so many. I don't know if we Rosa, do you know a number offhand? How many are actually in?
No, I agree with you. There, we've definitely had a lot. It's definitely over 100. So I do not know the exact number.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's a fair statement. I think just over 100 probably. One thing I will say, you know, we kicked off on November 1st, and our first month we had a decent amount, and we're all excited because it was more than we thought we were going to get. And then every month since, we've been ticking up. So, you know, the more that we're out there pounding the pavement and letting people know about this and standing on the rooftops, and, you know, the more we evangelize this message, the more submissions we're getting, which is a great problem to have. And obviously we're doing the same thing on the government side. You know, at first, and even now to some extent, you know, you have some government people saying, what is this thing? Because it's so different, right? It's so weird. It's like this quirky thing that traditional contracting people in the Department of Defense like have a hard time wrapping their head around, because it really does break the mold. So we kind of have to work with that and challenge it, you know, as lovingly as we possibly can, and say, hey, here's a new way of doing business, you know. So that's definitely an education process. But you know, at first it was a lot of government people were just sort of scratching their heads trying to figure out what it is. Now, you know, we've had people calling us like, hey, I heard about this thing, tell me all about it, you know. And one thing that comes up a lot, people ask, hey, is this open only to DoD? Initially, yes, that was the intent. But what we're finding is that more and more non-DoD entities are asking questions, getting interested, asking to get in. So ultimately, we do have every expectation that this will be broadened out to non-DoD entities. So that's another thing I wanted to say. Okay, answer that question. Any other questions? We're actually doing really well on time. Rose, I think you and I talk really fast. Or we've done such a good job, predicting people's questions that no one has any more questions. Okay, I'll stop sharing at this point. Stop sharing. Okay, Rosa, I'm going to kick it back to you. I feel like I think I've answered all the questions and I've said everything I've wanted to say, unless you have something else.
Only thing I actually just looked, what we have in there right now is 136.
Oh, wow. So we're well over 100. Okay. Yeah. And like I said, it feels like we get more and more every month. And I know we've hit this point, but I want to say it again. If you have multiple solutions, submit one video per solution. There's no cap on how many videos a company can have in there. We've got companies with 3-4 videos in there for 3 or 4 different solutions. And that's great. We want to see that, Oh, the other point I wanted to make, in many ways, the solutions marketplace is very conducive to small businesses, small mom and pop technology shops, the smaller companies, the non-traditionals. Why? Because the behemoths of the world, like, and I'm not saying, we don't want to see them. Of course we do. We want to see everybody. We want to see anybody who has a great solution. We don't care, what category you fall into. If you have a great solution, we want you in the marketplace. But we found that the smaller shops really love working with the marketplace because we're so quick, because we're not requiring these massive white papers and, a 2-year down select. It's none of that. Do your 5-minute video, get in the marketplace, get yourself awardable, and start, shopping your solution around to government customers, saying, hey, I'm in there. Here's my link. Go check me out. Whereas I think the bigger shops are much more built for those sort of longer lead, heavier lift type processes, but we're not asking for that. So that's why we're seeing a lot of really good solutions, because let's face it, some of the best solutions out there live in these smaller companies, just these really smart people, like a lot of the people who are on here. You're just really smart people who have the solution, and you start this company and trying to figure out how to get in front of the government. This is really a tool to help you do that. So Rosa, we have a contracting question from Anton. He joined late, but he's asking what types of awards are given through Tradewind. Is it OTA, CIBR, subcontract on an existing prime, all of the above? I'm going to defer to you. That's your lane, my friend.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm looking at the question. Is it OTA, CIBR, subcontract? Okay, so in the announcement, we have fulfilled the competition requirements for FAR, DFAR, and OTA. So the best way to answer that question is it would be basically any contract pathway that falls under those particular authorities. So, for example, you ask subcontract opportunity on an existing prime. That could be, that could be OTA. It could be a regular contract. So as long as it meets those authorities, it can follow any contract path.
Yeah, and let me chime in there. Earlier, I mentioned something about how if you have a government customer who wants your solution, but you're familiar with the marketplace, but they happen to not be familiar, point them to our direction. We will get them set up. We'll get them squared away. We'll teach them about the marketplace. We'll get them an account. We'll show them how to navigate through it. The same goes for contracting people, right? In a lot of ways, from a communication standpoint, and that is my lane, from a communication standpoint, it's much easier to get to all of you than it is to get to, the government, because the government's just so big, and then they're so spread out, and there's so many offices and so many little pockets and so many different little communities. You have the end users, you have the different procurement people at various offices, you have the contracting authority. So there's so many different little pools of people that we have to get to. And I always say this, it sounds silly, but I will keep saying it because it's the only way I could say it. If every government person that I wanted to talk to all hung out at one bar, I would literally go to this bar with a megaphone and just, scream my messages. Like, I would just do that if they all were in one place, but they're not. They're all spread around. So So that's why I'm constantly imploring you guys that if you're that interface with the government customer or with your contracting people, you know, who don't know about the marketplace or who know about it and are a little bit hesitant to deal with it because we're so quirky and different, point them in our direction. We will walk them through it. Like, we want to have those conversations. And if you're interfacing with an agency who we have not interfaced with yet, not for lack of trying, but again, because they're so spread out, help us help you, you know, make that introduction, reach out to us, support at tradewindmarketplace.com. We want to have those conversations. So to whatever extent you can help bridge that gap in the places where we haven't been able to yet, we'd love to, you know, we'd love to get involved in those conversations. We want to be able to be the conduit for that. Okay, any other last minute burning questions? We've got 3 minutes left. I hope this has been valuable and helpful. I know some of you have said thank you, so we thank you for joining us. Again, we do have these events quite regularly, 2 to 3 times a month. We are looking at having another one at the end of the month, but again, if you're not linked up with us on LinkedIn, please make sure you follow us there. We do put out information about our different events and different things that are happening with Tradewind. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say, I guess. Rosa, anything from you?
Not much. I think you covered most of it, Fiona. The only thing I would add is I know we pretty much foot stomped, read the announcement. If any of you all missed some of the presentation, I just want to foot stomp that. That's one of the most important things you will get out of this webinar. You need to read the announcement. Please use the email inbox that we put up there, the support at Tradewind. Please use that for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We have a whole group of people who would love to engage and answer any questions you have. And also education, just like Fiona just mentioned, we're really, really big on educating the customers, educating, you know, the government side, educating industry. We're really, really big on that. So, you know, we are definitely going to continue educating. And, you know, if you, like Fiona said, you have a customer, you have somebody who is not familiar with the Solutions Marketplace, or better yet, maybe they, you know, read the announcement and said, I don't know how y'all are doing this, but count me out. We are here to convince them. You know, you all spend an hour listening to Fiona. She's very convincing, right? So we're here to convince them. You know, I've been on that contracting side. Some contractor people can be a bit rigid. I know you all know. So we want to educate those people and bring them into the fold so they can use this and just make this great. So please reach out to us, send us your customers, send us your lawyers, your contract professionals, so that they can start using this Tradewind Solutions Marketplace.
That's a great plug, Rosa. Thank you so much for all that. I think we're pretty much wrapped up. It looks like we've answered all the questions. Again, we really appreciate you all joining us, and we'll keep you informed about our future events. We have these all the time. So if you feel like you missed anything, or if you feel like you want it, you know, you wished a colleague was here, that's okay. We're going to do it again. And hopefully these continue to be valuable for you and the members of your team. If you have any questions at all, we are always available. Please email us. We look forward to talking to you, and we look forward to seeing you again at one of our future events. We look forward to seeing you on the marketplace more so than anything. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks. Bye.